So we want to bring you a breaking update on that missing sub that apparently catastrophically imploded. The 5 people inside believed to be dead. And literally just the last couple of minutes, our Pentagon team has some new reporting about what the Navy detected. For more on that, I want to bring in our Tom Costello, who is live for us up in Boston. Tom, tell us about it. What's the update?
That's right. We are still at U.S. Coast Guard Boston Command, the incident command for this entire rescue operation. The Navy is now confirming to NBC News that, in fact, on Sunday, when that sub went in the water, and as you know, they lost communication an hour and 45 minutes down, the Navy says at about that same time, it detected through its underwater acoustic listening devices sounds consistent with an implosion or an explosion. That would suggest, in fact, that this implosion, if in fact it was an implosion of the hull all at once, it happened within the first few hours, in fact, the first hour and a half or hour and 45 minutes of the descent. I specifically asked the Admiral during the news conference this afternoon, is there any evidence that the sub actually crashed into the Titanic wreck? And that's how it was lost. And he said, no, we believe it was lost in the water column. In other words, above the wreckage and off a little bit, 1,600 feet away, and that it came down, it rained down into its own debris field in that area. And so now the Navy is coming forth and saying, in fact, they picked up that sound of an implosion. Now, importantly, the Navy says it gave that information to the incident commander, which is Coast Guard Incident Command, right. And they decided they're going to go proceed with a search and rescue because they wanted to give every possibility of finding people alive, giving them a chance of survival. But the commander, the incident commander, he also said today, once we saw what the ROV, what the debris field looked like on the bottom of the ocean, it was clear nobody could have survived.
Tom, you have been covering this story from the moment that we learned about this missing submersible, and now just such a terrible end to this search. Can you give us a sense of what it's like where you are, getting these updates and being there?
Well, I'm first of all, what you can't see because of the camera angle, we are surrounded by international media. I mean, this is a big story, not just domestically, but it has been a huge story internationally and surrounded by every language you can imagine, people reporting back to their home countries. But I must say, this was the feeling all along. I mean, I talked to a lot of experts on and off camera, retired Navy sub commanders, experts in marine biology, experts in submarine technology, miniature submarines, and all of them felt from the very beginning this was what likely happened. Keep in mind the pressure down at that depth where the Titanic sits. It's roughly 400 times greater than what you and I are experiencing right now. Nothing can survive at that depth, nothing human. And even man-made items are crushed very, very quickly. So that intense pressure on that mini sub may very well have been what caused the implosion. And then the question is going to be, was there some sort of fatigue crack in the hull, if you will, in the actual sub? Or was it fatigued after going up and down so many times? I did talk to one retired Navy commander today, Hallie, and he said, you know, a typical Navy sub, we're talking about a professional sub, Los Angeles class sub, for example, which only goes 2,000 to 3,000 feet down, more or less. You know, they check it constantly for fatigue cracks, and they never go that deep. And the hull is much more sturdy. His point was, you've got really a carbon fiber, kind of an experimental craft going that deep over and over, up and down, up and down, up and down, and it's possible that would have created some fatigue cracks.
Tom Costello, live for us there in Boston with that developing news. Tom, thank you so much for being with us here tonight and sharing that. Thank you.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.